Okay, it's my pleasure today in this first audio class to introduce the concept or the movement of digital poetry. At the same time, I'll try to answer the various questions you were invited to explore a fortnight ago in Worksheet 1 and also complete all the diverse cursus documents from 15 days ago. So I'll start by explaining that this course will focus on digital literature because it's a kind of poetry that developed quite recently as part of the social media. Maybe the mistake to make is to consider that experimental poetry, because it's part of the internet, is accessible to anyone. It might be more difficult than what we think at first glance. An interesting aspect is the advent of computer-generated poetry, which actually originates from the Oulipo that gave birth itself in 1982 to the Alamo Workshop of Maths and Computer-Assisted Literature. So that was a group made up of writers and computer scientists. And the Oulipo, for those who don't know that school, we could say, is the Ouvroir de littérature potentielle, created by Raymond Queneau and the mathematician Jean-François Le Lyonnais in 1961. In fact, it was meant to help Queneau finish his 100 000 milliards de poèmes. Alamo, the Alamo Workshop, was created by Paul Bradford and Jacques Roubaud, as the atelier de littérature assistée par la mathématique et les ordinateurs. It worked as a set of variations of a given structure. And those two trends were also very close to l'ère, lecture, art, innovation, recherche, écriture, based on the anagram à lire. These are examples of very close genres that gave rise to digital poetry. So the course will explore animated poetry and sound poetry with different authors as well. And the l'ère, donc lecture, art, innovation, recherche, écriture, was itself created in 1989 in the Pompidou Center. And it was based on the primacy of reading on screen. They published French digital poetry, notably with different authors like Philippe Bouts, Claude Maillard, Tibor Papp, Frédéric Develay, Jean-Marie Dutheil. And in the end, I hope I will have time to question how and why all computer programs question themselves the potential collaboration between cyber creativity and the human imagination. I mean that it's not because a poem was computer-made or partly computer-made that it does not explore the potential of the human imagination. So in the introduction, I invited you to define a few terms and concepts together, and notably what is media poetry, what is cyber poetry. So we could say that innovative poetry was produced within a technological environment. So that's a kind of virtual interactive poetry. We can notice the unfixed writing web space that comprises varied perspectives and structures. And also, if you look closely, you'll find a different and very complex vocabulary. Also, the inclusion of non-linguistic elements, the idea and the process of randomness, that is to say, the particular focus on reading as experience and process. In fact, media poetry includes hypertexts. An hypertext is a text that contains links to other texts, graphs, sound sources, images, narratives, cross-references, stories, a lot of things that make it more complex. This term was coined by Ted Nelson at a conference in New York about computing machinery, and that was coined in 1965 to point at a non-linear text. For some critics, hypertexts are tentative, fluid, and changeable. This means that it is readers that give life to the texts. Meaning is created as viewers, which is a contraction between the terms viewers and users, as users go along with those poems. It is not printed, so it breaks with the conventional writing space. And I forgot to mention that, in fact, viewers was a term coined by Bill Simon, a cyber poet, and we'll come back to his work later on. So many fields are at stake in cyber poetry, and it is the interconnectedness between them, activated by authors and readers at the same time, that is at the heart of the genre. So cyber poems can change according to the viewer. Each reading is unique. We could really follow this logic even if we consider Eduardo Kact's Holo poems, or Castro's video poems, or Jim Rosenberg's hyper poems, in which the reader has to navigate freely to construct meanings. So, of course, here, potential users are not passive consumers, but creators or co-creators of the poems.